I have to imagine most civil infractions are done at the police, criminal, that lower level.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Yeah. And there's, if you don't get a lawyer, you get there's only one side of the argument, and it is the cop. Right. And,
right.
Yeah.
And what's, some hillbilly going to do up against a cop, right?
Right.
Like, I work in branding. I can tell you right now, the uniform looks better than whatever that guy's got in his closet. Like,
right. Yeah. And, so as you know, I'm a huge critic of critical theory. Sure. And this idea that power systems define. I think critical theory can help us recognize, there's all these claims of inherent oppression, which I reject, but it can help us recognize oppression that we might otherwise not see. Like,
right.
Okay, what is happening psychologically, societally, sociologically in the conversation between the cop who has power and influence and psychological techniques and the disadvantaged, right, yeah. Intimidation and the disadvantaged teen who's admitting to something. I mean, you can, there is a power structure there that we can see,
absolutely.
right? That, it doesn't mean all this other stuff that critical theorists like to
no,
do. But
I mean, to equate all power dynamics to critical theory, I think is like, sometimes people have power over you, or like, it can be psychological. It can be just, the cops generally tend to be muscular. All right. They've got a literal power advantage over a teenager, right? Like, they're just stronger. Like, so it, there's that dynamic there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's this baby out with the bathwater thing that when conservatives at their worst aren't being nuanced, it's like, no, like blue, thin blue line or whatever. It's like, well, they're doing identity politics. Like, conservatives who say all cops good, all criminals bad, or all minorities bad, or all whatever.
Right. It's collectivism.
It's right. They're just doing the same thing of that they don't like.
Right. And I mean, I'm not a big fan of the cops. What I mean, I think, so here I'm gonna get a little radical. All right, but I want your take on it because it involves you. I think the appropriate way to understand the cops, or I don't know if this is the appropriate way, but a way that will be beneficial to you, the average citizen, is to view the police as like an occupying force. Right? They are the government. Like, imagine they are the soldiers of an army that has invaded you. They're there to occupy the force, make sure that nothing bad happens in the place, keep peace, keep the rebellion down.
Yeah.
In a situation like that, your best bet is to be like, yes, sir. I'm not going to mess with you because, you're an enemy. You feel like you're in enemy territory, all this stuff. I think, while that's not necessarily the case, I think that analogy is a useful kind of system for understanding it. And then if you want me to go full radical, I could say that the cops are the enforcement wing of a regime controlling its people.
Right.
I'm not willing to go that far, but I know people who are.
You're right. Yeah. Well, what are they occupying?
America.
The cops are occupying America.
Again, I'm not saying this literally. I'm saying this as a framework.
Right.
But like, as a lawyer, would you say like that's not the worst way to interact? Like, if you treated the cops like they were that way, you'd probably be better off.
Say it one more time. Like the general framework.
The general framework is to treat the police like they are an occupying army. So they have conquered your lands. Like, imagine. So put yourself in Afghanistan. You live in an Afghan town. Everything's normal. One day the Americans come in, and you have a new ruler, new laws. Everything's in flux. Your little shop is fine. It really hasn't changed. Like, your day-to-day life has changed in that there's soldiers around, but theoretically there's just a new occupying force. But now the American soldiers are kind of policing things. It would behoove you to treat them with respect, to treat them as that occupying force, to understand that they are in a foreign land, that they are under assault, that they are probably a little on edge, right? All of
Right.
the things that
Right.
would come with that, all the psychological stuff, all the fact that they are not of you, right? They're not like, you probably
Right.
look a little
Right.
different, that those psychological things kind of play into it. I think having that mentality towards police officers, while that is not the case in America, is a beneficial way to treat police officers as a citizen in terms of like if you get pulled over or if you have an
Right.
interaction with police. I think that framework it'll
Yeah.
save you trouble.
I think yes. Um, but only if you, in the occupying force example, if you uh, know very well your rights as a citizen living under an occupying force, like
Yeah, but you don't.
because right, and that's why I think it breaks down because when because I do believe in the judicial system,
Hmm.
I think to treat the executive branch, the police
Right.
force, as a sort of uh, a force outside of a system of control, I think is probably a few steps too far.
Okay.
Um, like I think you should in the way in what you're describing. I think you should think of cops as, you have to recognize that they have certain interests that you don't have. They have
Right.
certain, you know, and sometimes it's better to protect you, and sometimes it's better to protect the
Right.
person that
Their incentives are murky.
they're different. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah. Um, uh, so I think in those respects, yeah, you should be aware of how you actually relate to police. But in another sense, I think you have to know what rules police have to live within.
Sure. Now, I
And
agree they should have rules they have to live within.
yeah,
But I think so the whole point, I guess my thinking with this thought exercise is like, say I don't want to learn the rules. Like I don't want to
right,
Google things I should and shouldn't worry about when a cop pulls me over. Like I'm sure
yeah,
there's a whole thing. If I just operate like this is an invader who, in this moment has power, essentially, when you're pulled over by the police, I would argue they have essentially supreme power over you, right? I don't that supreme power is a weird phrasing, but like what does that even mean? But
what does
like
that mean?
yeah, I don't know. But my point is like it's their decision whether or not you have a very bad day or just
Right.
a quick little nuisance, right? Like they have that power in their hands.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
So it
I
seems like
think
you should give them a ton of leeway, but also never let them search your car.
right. I think if you don't know and they ask you to do something,
Yeah.
I would always say, I don't consent. No, I don't consent to that.
Okay.
If you're going to do it anyway, I will not interfere.
Okay.
Something like that.
That's
Because
that's good to know.
right, because yeah, if they have a lawful
Right. Because you
right
don't know.
to do something,
I don't know what right. Because I know, isn't there something with
very
like the glove
complicated.
compartment? Can they go? They can only go into a glove compartment if it's unlocked or something weird like that.
Honestly, I don't know. It changes so often.
Right.
What is invisible, what's visible, what isn't,
Right.
tinted windows. I don't know.
Yeah.
Rolled down, not rolled. What? Who knows?
Trunk, all that stuff. Who knows?
Right, right. It changes a lot. So I don't even if I got pulled over and the question was, does the cop have the right to look at something based on probable cause? I would not know the answer in
Right.
some cases. So I would always deny, because if you do consent, you give them a lot of rights that they don't otherwise have.
Right.
So you don't want to be
It's like why you never invite them in your house. You always say,
right.
"We wait right here. You're not welcome in here."
Yeah, right, right.
Like
And if they say,
you explicitly say you're not welcome in my house because even if you like, isn't it something like if you like gesture them in, theoretically that's an invitation,
yeah, right. I mean, you're at least giving them an argument.
right?
If they did find evidence to hold against you, you're giving them argument that you consented to a search. So I think you always want to make clear that you're not consenting, and uh, if they do it anyway,
Right.
you also don't want to be
You want,
interfering
oh yeah, geez,
somehow. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So you would say, I do not consent to that, but if you're going to do it anyways, I will not interfere.
I think something like that. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, um, because uh, if I don't see how that could be read as consent. I
Sure.
don't see how they could say, "Oh, I thought he meant it was okay." I mean,
Right.
if you
Right.
expressly say that, you know.
Right.
So I think that's what I would say if I was in some trouble or something. I didn't.
Okay.
Uh,
I think
I wasn't sure.
that's really good. I like that.
Yeah.
'Cause that's something I've thought about. It's like I get pulled over and they want to search my car. And it's like I vaguely remember in high school they said don't let the cops search your car, but I also know the cop's got a gun and I don't. Also,
Right.
if I do like this too much, he now has reasons to shoot me. Like
Sure. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
so
Right.
it's the yeah, to go back to that power dynamic, it
Right.
skews in their favor in that situation.
Yeah. And the mistake most people make is thinking the cop does have the right to do it.
Right. But that's the naiveness I speak to. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's
Right. Right.
naiveness and like you open yourself up to something. Right. They pulled you over for speeding, they search your car and they find a prescription bottle that was your mom's that she left in there,
Yeah.
but it's Xanax or
Sure.
whatever.
Sure.
Now you're in trouble, right?
Right.
Now
Right.
your day just got worse and you didn't do anything.
Yeah. And if they say, if you come in with the assumption they would only ask to search my car if because they already have the right to, you're way off, right?
Right.
You
That's it.
that
That's the naiveness of it. Yeah.
they're looking for the consent, and if you have something to worry about, or even if you don't, you may not want to give it. But it's tricky. I mean, I so one example that always sticks with me. This guy, unclear what happened to get to this point,
Mhm.
but this guy is in his own driveway with the car running and a bunch of empty beer cans in his car, and he's drunk. So
Okay.
the question is like, how did he get there?
Right.
Is that enough that he was driving
Well,
and
I've heard that story that like, someone's drunk at the bar. They say, I don't want to drive home. I'm gonna sleep it off in my car.
yeah,
Cops
right,
show up, they find him drunk in their car. Things
right.
get messy, right?
Are you on the roadway? Are you all kinds of stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm too drunk now. I'm just gonna pull over and sleep this off. Prudent
right,
move. You made the right decision, I guess, once you
yeah,
got to that point.
right,
Uh, but like, it's
yeah,
it's questionable now. Like
yeah, yeah,
you've opened yourself up to a big problem.
yeah, right. I mean, don't drink and drive, I guess, is the easy answer, but
Right.
yeah,
Should you take the breathalyzer?
that's another good one.
Yeah. I don't know. I've often thought about like I'm not going to take it. But then your
So
license gets suspended, I think, automatically, which seems
yeah,
I don't know how I feel about that one.
yeah. In Michigan, we
Okay.
are called an implied consent state, where by driving you implicitly consent to a breathalyzer.
How
I
is
haven't
that?
looked at this.
How is that legal?
Yeah, yeah.
Come on now. This is
There's
where I
lots of
come to
factors.
question the Constitution. All right.
Right, right,
Okay. Oh, Constitution's real
right,
great on
right.
that one.
So I don't remember how it works. It's something like, uh, um, if you, I haven't done this in a while, but it's something like if you deny the breathalyzer um, on the road, you get a ticket,
Okay.
the PBT, the preliminary breath test, which is the typical breathalyzer.
Right.
If you deny the chemical
That's
blood
is that the
alcohol
blood
test, which is
test?
like,
Yeah.
yeah, or the um, one like a more intense machine at the police station,
Yeah, they have to take you into that one.
then you get your license suspended if you deny that one, something like that.
Which seems better than a DUI in every situation.
Right? Yeah, right. But they're good. But the thing is, if they have probable cause or DUI, you're getting taken in anyway, and they'll get a warning
Sure.
for the blood test, and then
Right.
you're,
I mean, like if you're slurring your words, like
yeah,
you're probably a goner. But
yeah,
I think if you're borderline, probably best to deny it and hope for the best.
yeah, right. Yeah, but it's tricky. I mean, there's never any easy answers.
Okay. Yeah. That's why
So
there's lawyers. That's why the
that's why we're
profession
here.
exists.
That's why
Yeah.
we're here.
That's why you bill at $800 an hour.
Right.
Answer
Keep people
hard
on
questions. Yeah.
We're here for you
Yeah. To execute justice.
to uphold justice.